Thank you, Jan, and thank you all the speakers. And I do hope that after these presentations, we have actually raised your interest, since we have still about 10 minutes before the coffee break. So I would kindly ask all of you who are interested to open the discussion with our speakers. Yes, please.
I would just want to know if any of the speakers or anybody in the audience has experience. My understanding is that, and as it is in Serbia, the testing, the examinations are really entrance examinations, and sometimes, but rarely written, for appointing management staff. But I wonder whether there is experience with having some kind of eliminatory examinations every time somebody moves to a higher grade job. So for that kind of, basically to have a test to enter a certain level of a job.
Does this go on? Is it on? Oh, it is actually on. Yeah, okay. In the Serbian case, clearly there is an oral examination, there's the interview, and the written examination is optional, right? And the surveys show, also previous work, I mean, it is taken, I think, in like some 20 to 30% of the cases. I mean, so it's not an exception. It's sometimes taken. But what you see in some of the other countries, Montenegro, Bosnia, Kosovo, when you move up to a higher position, you have to take, again, the written examination and the oral examination, both of them. Yeah. However, this is often criticized for being actually cumbersome and taking too long. Huh? So this is something that we found as well, that, I mean, especially personnel managers from the institutions were often saying, oof, but takes so long, and then you have to again take the examination of the general administrative procedures, and that shouldn't really happen. So that's where I think the point we tried to make, and it might be a bit too bold, right, is to say the examination process, the written examination process, should in a way be separated from the subsequent selection process, where you have like a general qualification examination, and if you make it through the qualification examination, then you can actually be selected for a position somewhere in the administration. It means that you might have permanent selection commissions that set the exams. Yeah, so it's almost like a concours, you could say, that you have actually in Brussels, or that you have in France as well. But this kind of general examination should be at a high enough level to make sure that only the strongest candidates are actually subsequently eligible for jobs that are vacant in the civil service. Yeah? Does it make sense? I think to some extent this is actually done in Albania now. So if you want to actually come up and say also how you managed to push that reform in Albania.
Yes. We have, as I explained, we have you enter in the public service only at the basis level, with some exceptions. And then to go up in managerial positions, we have a procedure of testing also. Is only applied to internal public employees that are already civil servants, but we have the testing procedure. Of course, all the institutions are unhappy because it takes some time and because it's a filter. So, but we have implemented it. Let me acknowledge that we are very strict for the entrance, and we are a little bit more fluctuating for that one because it's also impossible to do all the fights at the same time. So we are trying to, but we have introduced the concept.
But is it it's written or oral?
It's written, I think. Blerta should, yes, it's written, no? Yeah, it's written. Written and oral, both. And we have also, we have introduced also another thing that I think is also a specificity for the Balkans. We have the highest corpus of the civil servants that has a status that is something between political and not. And I will explain. We have the cabinets that are political. Okay, when the government goes, they go. So it's clear from the beginning. But as we are a small country with all the problems that were discussed here, we need, in any case, to have for the highest position, so Secretary General, General Directors, a kind of trust between the government and them. So until 4 or 5 years ago, they were just fired and that's all, civil servants or not. Now we introduced something that acknowledges that in the law. So they are recruited with procedures, very strict procedures, but they are part of a pool. And then every government chooses between this pool. So you can fire them with very simply, so you don't need procedures, but you can, they have the status of the high civil servants. They are paid only 6 months, I think, but they have the status for a long time, 5 years. And then if you choose another one, you have to choose between this pool. So it's a hybrid thing. And I fight a lot with Brussels for that, to introduce to acknowledge the truth that we need in our countries for the moment. We need to have this at the same time criteria, but at the same time acknowledge that we have a political issue there.
Can I just follow up with one point? I thought this was very helpful. In a way, in Albania, the attempt is to create a career system. So the key entry point is at the bottom. And the decision that you would have to take, or anybody would have to take, is how many entry points do you want to have in the system. But taking the Serbian example, I mean, to have such a separate written examination system, for instance, the Human Resources Management Service could manage a comprehensive examination for potential candidates, yeah? Those who are interested in working in a civil service. And if they pass it, it's like passing a driving license. And with that driving license, they have for a certain period of time the right to, or the right to be considered for vacancies in the civil service. And that those who lack this license essentially cannot be considered. Yeah, that's how you can clearly. But the key point is that the examination needs to be, needs to be comprehensive enough. Yes. Yeah, as a teacher, I like to say it needs to be tough enough. But I mean, it needs to be comprehensive enough to properly test skills. Yeah.
Comprehensive, and it has to be conducted with enough integrity. So, yes. Again, I would like to hear more about experiences with. Maybe doing, can it be organized as a really thorough multiple choice test that is actually done electronically, or what are the experiences with that?
I explained that we have begun that in 2014, in September 2014. For the first year, we were not prepared. We had not a system, so it was like a big headache, because the testing was just to be prepared the night before, not to have the thesis gone out for the candidates. But now we have an electronic system where we have put all the questions, and then they are chosen automatically, randomly by the system, and then you have the correction is done automatically also. I'm not sure if it is a multiple choice, but I know that it is an automatized system.
Let me be honest, if I may still reply to that. There are cases, I mean, there's many cases of multiple choice tests, yeah? The Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina, the state level. Macedonia has now introduced a new system which is still not operating, but once it will be operating, it's supposed to be mainly some form of computerized assessment. I'm somewhat skeptical with respect to the effectiveness of those systems, because in a way they become very rigid. They are very impartial and fair, but how well do they really test your skill levels? So I would rather like to think of this as an assessment center, yeah, to give you another terminology there, where actually you have when I think about a comprehensive examination, you have a sequence of steps. So it's a matter of learning about procedures, and that's something you can't maybe do through a multiple choice test. But you need to also, as a civil servant, have certain skills in terms of policy analysis. So you need to understand something about the political and economic context. For that, you probably need to write something. Yeah, sometimes teamwork is important. So I think it is relevant, or it's fair to say, to invest in a more comprehensive assessment center type system so that you see what people can actually do. It's potentially more costly, of course.
Ms. Margaret Kroll and Mr. Carroll.
I just want something also to say. The interview for us, for example, in the Republic of Srpska is a very important issue because we had, unfortunately, more than a dozen of cases when someone does the test, it's the perfect test, and only in the interview you see that people have some issues like PTSD. And you just cannot see it on the paper. That's why the interview is very important, at least for us. We had those cases. It was very delicate, it's not a good situation, but it's something that you just cannot see it on paper. That's our truth that we live. So we also have to have the interview. We choose then to have it at least few years now because there are things that you just cannot see on paper.
I think there was a question over there.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Here too.
Please, please. Yes.
Thank you, Margaret Pröll from APA. Since APA is very close to RESPA since many years, allow me to say a word of congratulations, because the role which RESPA plays in this effort to come to merit-based civil service in the region and to support a development process of innovation in the take-in of the civil service in the various countries, and doing that by having, first of all, a comparative research, bringing in transparency, and secondly, also supporting the process in the various countries. I think that is a fantastic approach, and I would just like to acknowledge and to appreciate this.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pröll. I would just emphasize that we have had a very fruitful collaboration so far, learning from APA in many different areas, in common assessment framework, in human resource management, learning from your particular experience in EPSO, European Public Award, which was very good, and also your credible membership in DISPA meeting is something that we also benefited from, and we are also trying to transfer those messages to the Western Balkan countries. Now, Mr. Kelman, the Director of National Alliance for Local Administrations, located in Macedonia, also our colleague and partner.
Thank you. Well, I would also like to praise the work that has been done. It's a very interesting outcome, and we would disseminate it also through our members because it fits also for the needs of local governments also. I would like to raise an issue that goes beyond recruitment that I think is very important about the professional, the system for professional promotion and the linkage with the need to qualify for a promotion needs to go through a training, because this will set up the demand for training, and our local government associations are training providers, and they are struggling in these because the environment is not promoting the demand for training. So I think the next step, I don't know if there are developments, if you have already done some kind of research, a similar research, but that would be the next step, and we would be very much interested also to be involved if you plan to do, because the setting the demand for training and the system, then it will clearly give a signal for local government associations what kind of training to develop, because the era of free training of project-based different donors is ending, and now we need to develop training systems.
Yeah, thanks for this question, remark, or we can take it different. So what I can say is that we have a reply, exact reply, because we just revised all those toolkits I was mentioning that were developed by the Council of Europe. We just revised a training assessment toolkit and training strategy toolkit. So it's brand new. It will be passed through the committee now, but we already take it in consideration, and will not pilot, but for these improved ones, first attempt to use it will be actually in Serbia. So we will already have 2 people deployed now, basically. So they start with training needs assessment within the context of this program for human resource management. We think it's very important to see the exact training needs assessment and to develop built-on strategy for training within the civil service based on that. But the quality of that research and the quality of survey, that's where it is important. If you don't have clear policy or clear demand from basically central level, what they want to achieve with this training need assessment or training strategy, if there is no vision at the central level why they're doing it, what change they want to see. They want more professional civil service, they want one entry point, they want possibilities, to have a couple of entry points, they want more professional local civil service, they want to have it at all. So when there is a policy at the higher level, it makes our work easier because the tools are there. We have, like a doctor, we have prescription, you have grippe, you get this medicine. But often those medicines in our toolkits, they don't work, or they work like, okay, we've done it, very nice, Council of Europe assisted us. But then when it comes, when there was no policy, clear policy goal set, there was no big picture. I mean, not even revised toolkits, not even the best attempts of the Council of Europe to use the best, or I would say good or more appropriate practice, because we will not come to Albania. We had a very nice project in Albania, actually, supported by the Swiss government, and we achieved a lot in amalgamations there, but because there was a will. We started from totally different angle, and then it came like, yeah, we're doing all this, but why wouldn't we just reshift our focus and do like totally something different? And we were flexible enough. We said, yes, this is a good context, so let's do it. And basically like something which is small, relatively small project turned up into territorial reform, which was quite successful so far. So yes, we do have tools, and please do not hesitate to contact me personally, directly. We can see what we can do about it, but it's all, again, I stress, it's all a subject to actual, however you call, beneficiary and beneficiary, those who actually benefit, whatever, if there is a clear policy on the beneficiary sides. In absence of clear policy, all our best efforts will go in vain, donors' money will be wasted, and we will start all over and all over again. So that's my reply to your question. Yes, we have tools. If there is a will, we're there for you to help you in the best possible way. Thanks.
Thank you. If I just may add also about RESPA, yes, RESPA has also tools. There is, let's say, like a multi-dimensional way of assessing the needs within the region. One of them, for example, is like organizing through different online surveys. Then is meeting professionals, and also through our structures, where there are several working groups where RESPA is working with from the senior professionals. We know that public service is like really wide, and like in horizontal and vertical way. So let's say like we brought in RESPA also in our program of work for 2016-17, our next 2 years, a new novelty, if I can say, for the region, which is coaching. We've considered that coaching might fit, let's say, like the best for the senior professionals, seniors within the administrations, which, at least from our analysis and our information that we've received, there was quite a weak participation of seniors in different trainings. So the idea was like, okay, so let's introduce coaching, and through coaching, it's like as a at the beginning as individual coaching, and then maybe we can jump on the group coaching by organizing coaching activities within the region. Thank you.
It's open.
Yes, please.
My name is Adrian Hadjiai from Vienna Institute of Internet. Just totally different questions. We talked about the entry point, recruitment, and so on. So all the civil servants has the boarding card. Now, from a RESPA perspective, but also from the Minister Harito and from Ministry of Republika Srpska, what is your opinion about the next process of the life cycle of the civil servant, not biologically, but how long a civil servant has the chance to continue in the administration, because I think we have in the whole region the problem of very strong fluctuations. So civil servants get a good job in administration and then they are tempted to go to another. So we have a oscillation of this process of civil servant not staying long in administration. And we need these people to stay more long to give the experience. I'm not talking about the political level. You mentioned that they have to leave after 4 years or whatever, which just mustn't be necessary. But for the normal civil servant who start to work, get the knowledge, get the training, are ready to get in the path of the career, and they attempt to leave or we are forced, whatever. Is there any rules or laws or protection or strategy from, let's say, both countries in this case, or even from Serbia if the lady here is involved? And the rest, if you have some results or research made from your experience on that case. Thanks.
Okay. The civil service law in Albania, we talked, of course, about the recruitment and the career system, but the first effect was to have a stronger protection. It goes with a stronger protection. So, of course, procedures to fire civil servants are more demanding and difficult, and the idea is to protect them. On the other hand, they can stay in the public administration for their whole life because the basis of the career system is that, so they can progress. And this is why the entry is only on the basis level, on the bottom level, but not upper, in order to create the possibility for persons that are inside to have a career. We have the first results. The mobility between systems were inexistent before, and because we are blocked now, we cannot hire in the upper level. We have mobility inside the systems, forced mobility, let's say, and they are the first steps. But of course, politicization is always a problem in our countries, and we have to what we are building has to be sustainable and to be accepted by all the parties.
Thank you very much. So we have completely different experience. First, we have the same firing system as Albania. So it's very strict, very demanding. Actually, we don't have mobility. I mean, we have it. We had the changes of law 2 days ago, and we put it the first time there. So we didn't have a mobility, any directions. So the civil servant couldn't go from institution to institution. He could, but he had to go interviewing, applying, and all the procedure from the bottom. Everything to change the institution. Civil servants saw that as a very hard path, so they didn't choose to go that path. Now they know that it's harder, and now we are putting mobility, but only for some cases. Like in some ministry, you have in this year a big job, so we are going to let few civil servants, some colleague of ours, during that project, and when it's over, he's going to be back home, of course. So we didn't have that kind of mobility, and we didn't have problems. Our civil servants stayed at home, actually.
And just another word that I forgot to say, that the issue of wages of salaries is an issue in Albania. I don't know how it is for the other countries. We have, for the bottom level, let's say the public administration is competitive with the private. So for the bottom level, we are okay. But then in the private sector, for the upper management positions, you can be paid 5-10 times more than the public administration. So it's a big issue to attract high-level public civil servants.
Can I just briefly say something about it? A couple of points. The first one is that the evidence on the impact of long-term careers on performance, corruption, a public service ethos, public service motivation is so-so, right? We don't have strong evidence on that. However, it appears at least that you need these long-term careers to build a strong public service ethos, okay? However, we need to take into account the reality that people move around more, as you basically explained. So I think in terms of the recruitment system, it means that you need to have more entry points than one. And you need to adapt your examination system so that at the mid-level or particular job types, you need to adapt your examination system. That's happening in other countries as well. There's not one size fits all in that respect. Which makes it, of course, more complex again. It's not easy to develop it.
Thank you, Jan. I think we are closing to the break, and before maybe Jan gives maybe some kind of small conclusion of the overall panel, I would wanted also to inform you that last year's annual conference of RESPA was devoted to professionalization and depolitization of the public administration, and with a holistic approach, we insisted to compile different aspects which are required on the legal framework, institutional setup, and also in the domain of behavioral change to insist on in order to reach the overall topic. And I may say that the conclusions revealed a lot of challenges, but we also were proud to depict among many best practices from the worldwide context deriving from UN and also the OECD, but also we have had an opportunity to learn from the Western Balkan countries, giving us an opportunity to learn from one another. So in order not to bomb you with the details, I would also invite you to visit our website where the annual conference proceedings are placed and where a lot of practical conclusions may be seen. Jan, would you like to have a small wrap-up of the panel before?
I'm not sure it's a whole wrap-up, but I still would like to say a word to Minister Udovickis, that's correct, right? About the role of examinations. I think you picked up on the examination, and that's the type of examination. I think that's, of course, central to the recruitment systems, the quality of the examination system. If the quality of the examination system isn't good, you won't get good recruitment nor good selection. So it's a really key component. However, it's big. It's quite a fundamental decision, and it's a complex process to develop and to run. And I think what we found is that there are quite a lot of small steps that can be taken as well, and that can be taken actually even without having to work with SIGMA or the European Commission, probably even without having to work with RESPA, which are often very homegrown initiatives. Issues about providing information for commission members. You can provide training for ad hoc commission members on selection commissions. You can prepare manuals for commission members, and Macedonia is a case where something has been prepared, but I think it's not been rolled out. Some countries have these manuals, some don't. These are fairly, let's say, small steps that can have an important impact on the professionalization of the process and the people who run the process on a regular basis. So I think this should be also taken into account. There are big things and there are small things, small steps, and we should not forget to see them from time to time, be reminded of them. I wonder about the Regional Cooperation Council as a wider forum, of course, and I wonder what role the Regional Cooperation Council can play in promoting the professionalization of human resources management in the region. And there are 2 points which, I mean, in a way I want to throw up really for everybody here, throw into the debate. One is, I guess, our work showed that it's important to communicate the importance of the professionalization of public administration to the political class. And maybe the Regional Cooperation Council is an institution that for which it is easier to work maybe also with the political class, members of parliament, for instance, to involve them in the process, to engage them in the process, to present to them, to run workshops with them, rather than to focus on the civil service itself. And only on the senior civil servants themselves. So I wonder whether there is some scope for more engagement from the side of the RCC in this respect. So that is just the last point that I wanted to make, really. But I give it now to Goran, who will have the last.
Okay, Thank you very much. And I think because we are already entering into the break, I wish to thank you all for this very fruitful discussion. And I'm inviting also that to continue maybe these conversations, since Mr. Goran Svilanovic is here maybe during the break to discuss about these opportunities, how we can reunite the forces with the RCC and how we can promote our products with their efforts and with their entry points. So thank you once again. Thank you, ministers. Thank you, credible speakers, and you, credible audience. So I invite you also for the break. Thank you.